Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. I'm really excited about our show for today. We're going to be talking about big brothers and big sisters of Southeast Michigan. I'm really excited to have our guest for today's show. She's the president and CEO of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southeast Michigan, Jennifer Spitler. Welcome, Jennifer, to the show.
Thank you. It's a mouthful, isn't it?
It's a mouth, yeah. And that's why it goes BBBS, Michigan.
Yes.
Everything in
Yes.
our world today is acronym. So
Yes. And Big Brothers, Big Sisters is full of them.
yes. So Jennifer, to just kind of help level set, people may be familiar and say, gee, I've heard about the organization. I don't know much about it. Can you talk a little bit about the history of Big Brothers, Big Sisters?
Yeah. So Big Brothers Big Sisters started about 125 years ago in New York City. And it came through the judicial system where there was a judge who was seeing a lot of unaccompanied youth and wanted to do something to support them so that they did not find their way to his courtroom. And that was the first kind of mentoring under the Big Brothers Big Sisters auspices. There was Chicago program. There were separate Big Brothers Big Sisters across the country were popping up. And then the entity kind of came together as Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think it was in the 70s. And that was about the time where Big Brothers Big Sisters started here in the Metro Detroit area as well. A lot of different entities since kind of the inception of programming, but always the emphasis on the one-to-one mentoring. A lot of things that we do are supportive of youth and youth development, maybe outside of that match or with the family and other things. But that one-to-one relationship really is the core of what Big Brothers Big Sisters has always done and continues to do.
And if you would consider and think about, and that's an amazing history and what a great way to start, the judge seeing what he's seen in the courtroom year after year. What would be, would be if someone would say, what's kind of the mission now and the vision of where you see Big Brothers, Big Sisters going?
Yeah. Well, the mission is all around youth reaching their full potential. Our goal is we want kids to graduate from high school with a path for the future and meant the impact of mentoring around them. Mentoring can look different in terms of that one-to-one space, but we also, like I said, provide group events and other kind of supportive youth development activities. And I think when I think about the future of Big Brothers Big Sisters, I really see that we're calling it one-to-one plus, those additional things that we do, because I think that folks can sometimes get, I want to say lost in that space of, oh, it's one-to-one, you're on your own, you're matched with this kid, you're out there doing this thing, when it really is bigger than that. And you're supported by staff, and staff are not only making and supporting you and the matches, but providing a variety of kind of opportunities and experiences that allow youth to reach their full potential, whether it's field trips, whether it is bringing in speakers or taking kids to do something that they've never done before with their big support. One of the things I've always found interesting about Big Brothers Big Sisters, when you look at our outcomes and what we historically accomplish as a mentoring organization, it really is around building the confidence of young people, reducing risk behaviors, and improving academics. And it's that risk behavior thing that is really interesting, because when you tie that with the increased confidence, you actually find that kids take more positive risks because they've had a mentor in their life, right? They have encouragement. They have someone in their corner. They have someone walking them through the steps of what it takes to do this thing. And so those positive risk-taking behaviors are actually something that we really encourage and look for and want our bigs to help our young people develop and dip their toe in those waters and try things that are maybe outside of their box. And so, whether their path is college or career or service, It's really about ensuring that they have the support and the encouragement that they need outside their family, because, you know, family is there, but we all know that young people tend to, you get to an age where you're not always listening to your parents. So having that person outside of your family to provide that encouragement and support and direction is just really important.
And I think that's what's so exciting. And one, I just love your passion, and you can just see that, and it is, like you said, it's sometimes we take it for granted if we've grown up in an environment where you've always had someone supporting you in there. And sometimes we forget, if someone doesn't have that, what it means to them to have somebody in your corner, someone you can talk to, someone you can be maybe open and honest with. But sometimes, like you said, isn't necessary your family or your parents. You mentioned a word that I think is really key. It's I know there's what they call get a big or be a big. Maybe if we start with, if you're going to be a big brother or sister, and someone's watching this, and like you said, they might think, oh my goodness, I'm one-on-one with a youth. It's been a while. I'm not sure I can talk their language. I'm not sure what we have in common. I'm not sure where to start. Yeah. What would you say if someone's watching and saying, I really would love to do this, but I have all those questions. What am I going to do? Do you give me a guidebook?
As much as we can. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Notes, cheat sheets to say, okay, this is how it helps. So if you can maybe go through what it means if someone's watching who might want to offer their time as a mentor.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's great, because that is really, I think, the thing that folks are like, what does it mean? What is the commitment? What do I have to do? Oh my gosh, I can't. So much responsibility. Changing this kid's life. Yeah, no. Your job is to be there, right? Your job as a big, and that's what we really encourage our bigs to, is be there and walk the path. Be someone that they can talk to, be someone that listens, be someone that provides encouragement. But our staff are there all along the way. So we have a robust enrollment process to ensure that our volunteers are safe for our kids, and to ensure that our kids want to be in the program, and what are their interests, and what are the things that they're interested in exploring? What are some of the challenges maybe they're facing? We learn that about the volunteers, and we learn that about the kids. And then we try to make matches that make sense, so that you have a jumping off point. So you might not have everything in common. Your lives might not have paralleled each other, but do you like sports? Are you both artistic? Are you someone who loves to watch YouTube videos? Oh my gosh, there's so much. When you say, I don't know if I can do a kid thing, I learn so much about TikTok and everything else when I am learning the stories of what bigs and littles do together, because the bigs many times will go down those paths and explore some of these funny TikTok videos and trends, and do dances, and, try recipes. And you really are just taking what sparks for that young person and finding a way to enhance and encourage it. And then sometimes exploring sparks, because some kids don't know. Maybe they've lived in a little bit more of a bubble in terms of what their family has been able to experience or expose them to. And so you're doing a lot of the exposure and giving the opportunities to try the thing for the first time. With the internet now, it's a whole different world, I think, than when I grew up, when you grew up, right? Like of what's out there to do, or what are careers that I could do, or what are, bigs really are just there to walk the path. It's a couple of times a month where we ask bigs and littles to get together. We ask bigs for a commitment of at least a year, so that you're creating a relationship that's trusting. Our average match length is about 2 years. And I'll tell you, I've been with Big Brothers Big Sisters for a little over 22 years now. And I have some, just really long-term relationships that I have got to see just grow. 10-year relationships, 15-year relationships, folks that were on caseloads before I started. So, it can be a year, and you can make a significant impact in a year. Don't think you can't. Think about the teachers that you had. Think about the coaches that you had that were in your life for a shorter period of time. That impact can be significant. So, don't feel overwhelmed by that either. So we provide all kinds of opportunities. Like I said, group events, activities, free tickets, encouragement. And then you have a match support specialist who's assigned to you that checks in with you every month to see how things are going, help with activity ideas, or, just any of the little glitches that come with creating a relationship that is not, I'm going to say, natural, right? It's not somebody you met in class or at work, or, that you just started hanging out with. It is a prescribed relationship. So, there's always little glitches and speed bumps, and that's what our staff are there to support.
And that's wonderful. And I think what you explained was, even as I listen to it, it's like, okay, you'll match someone up who's got similar interests, not maybe, like you said, maybe not parallel, but that's great, because maybe then, I learned something new, they learned something new, and it gives you a kind of a starting point. I'm wondering, as people who think about this, and I think it was really great how you said a couple things. One is the commitment of a year, maybe only a couple times a month. So that helps people think, okay, is it once a week, or is it, but what about if someone's thinking, what if they'd like to maybe expose them to something, like, I know you mentioned free tickets and things like that, but if there's something where maybe they want to take them to a certain concert, or they want to take them to, a theater or musical or something, to experience something in that nature, is there ways to do some of those type of things? Or because that can be a financial commitment as well.
Absolutely. So we do encourage that the activities are free and low cost. That's really, and we try to provide a ton of them. Here's what's going on in the community. Here's festivals you can go to. Here's, there's just so much you can do that you don't have to shell out a lot for. But we do also, like I said, get tickets for some of those things. We have Lions tickets, we get Tigers tickets, we get play tickets. We had tickets to go, was it Stevie Wonder? We had tickets to go see Stevie Wonder last month, or in November. So we have a variety of opportunities that kind of pop up. If it's something special that a big wants to kind of like make, a birthday thing, or you made all A's or were on the honor roll, and they want to spend a little more on something, that's okay. But that's not the goal. The goal isn't that bigs are having to shell out a lot of, money. Yes, it does cost to do things. And that is on the big for the most part, because our families are not resourced for that typically. But we do try to support as much of that as we can, and get those free and low cost opportunities for the bigs to be able to, take their kids to experience those things.
And that's again, a couple of great points you're always hitting on is you're not asking, a big to take on a financial burden at all. But they have the opportunity, like you said, if it's a birthday or all A's, and, they want to do a little celebration with that. And is there an age limit for someone to be a big brother or a big sister?
We do, in our community-based program, our bigs are all 18 and over. In our school-based program, we have some high school bigs that mentor elementary-aged kids. But for that community-based program where you're picking up your little and taking them somewhere, you do have to be 18 or over. And there is no top age limit. We've had bigs that were in their 60s and 70s. Now, that said, sometimes kids, that's a little... they want the college age or the young kind of hip person. I'm too old now, apparently, to be a big. I'm not, but it's also that you have
not laughing because I feel that way too.
I know.
They don't want the old ones.
You have to warm them up, and then it's one of those things. Once they meet the individual, they're like, oh, they have energy. They go do things.
So bad.
They're kind of hip, yeah. So there isn't for the volunteers an upper age limit. For our youth, we enroll kids between 8 and 16, and then we'll keep them in the program until they're 18 or graduated from high school. But we enroll them kind of during those late elementary, middle school years is really kind of our typical enrollment years. And then we'll continue to support them, whether it's with their big or whether sometimes we have kids who have had 2 or 3 bigs, right? I always say, what is that? It's the footprints, right? Like there's people walking beside you. It might not be the same set of footprints that are walking beside you, but that is definitely something that we think about with our kids, is how do we continue to support them? We have a lot of colleges in the area where we have college aged folks who graduate and move on. And then, that young person might still be interested in being matched or could really benefit from that continued support. So, we might rematch them in those circumstances.
And a couple of questions that come to mind too as I think about this. One is, if I was, if my child was going to, get a big brother, a big sister, as a parent, how do we make sure that the parents are comfortable that their son or daughter is okay with the big?
Absolutely. Well, everything that we do is around child safety. I mean, we start there. And so everyone has to agree that this match makes sense. So not only the parent, but the child, they have to be interested in having a big. We are not going to force a child into a relationship that they aren't interested in being in. That's not healthy. It doesn't teach them to have healthy relationships, I don't think. And it's also not good for the big, to be in a, trying to develop this friendship and this trusted relationship. Some kids are like, once you talk to them about it, they're like, oh, okay, that sounds fun. But when they don't understand what it is, right, they're a little less maybe into it. But we do background checks, references, personal and professional driving checks. We really do vet our volunteers because you are going to be one-on-one with a child unsupervised. And so it is important to us that child safety and those things are done. And that's a part of that match support piece as well, right? We're constantly checking in, seeing how things are going, and, talking to the little, talking to the big, talking to the parent to ensure that, everything feels safe and comfortable, and, that they're getting along and that the relationship is developing into something healthy and helpful.
Yeah. And, I guess I have to ask this, it's a sensitive type question, but in this day and age, is when you match, a little with a big, is it usually men with men, women, girls with, women and things like that when you try to match them up?
So we really match everyone based on preferences. And so when you come to us, when an individual comes to us, we do talk about preferences in terms of gender, race, sexual orientation, religion. Now, does it mean that we make a perfect match of everything that you preferred? Not necessarily, but we do try. And we also want to make sure that we don't put people in any circumstances that they're uncomfortable with, whether it's a family or whether it's a big. So we give folks preferences and they have to agree to the match. So while most of our matches are big brother, little brother, big sister, little sister, we do cross-gender match specifically, little brothers with big sisters when they're a little bit younger. But then, we try to really take into account how folks identify, whether you're a big or a little, and again, match based on the preferences and the identity of the individuals that come to us.
And then if we move to the littles, if somebody's watching, a parent is watching, or a family member thinking, gosh, maybe their niece, nephew, or whoever, or a neighbor, a person in their lives that they've come across that could benefit, what would be the things that would qualify and help someone to say, hey, I would like to get a big brother or get a big sister?
So the criteria is really that age range of, 8 to 16, 15 to 16 to enroll. You have to live in our 4-county footprint, which is Macomb, Oakland, Wayne, and Washtenaw. And you have to want and need a mentor. That's it. It's pretty simple. Now, when we go to match kids, some kids get based on preferences, location, all of those things might be matched easier, more quickly. We do have more big sisters that come through the door than big brothers. So our wait list is much more little brothers waiting for big brothers. So there's always a call out for those individuals that want to be matched with a little brother to come through our doors. We have lots of them, about 200 kids on our wait list right now, a little more than 200 kids on our wait list right now across the service area. But a parent really just has to call or go on our website and sign up for orientation and then kind of go through that enrollment process themselves. We do have a required safety training. We talked about that safety and that vetting. So we require parents to go through a safety training as well before we will match their child with a big. And so there's a couple of steps, but the criteria is pretty simple: wanting and needing a mentor and a young person that could benefit from that. There's always, definitions of what's higher risk and what's higher priority, but there's a lot of kids in a lot of situations that, you don't always know what's going on. Right. And they could really benefit from a big, whether they have a 2-parent family, whether they have a 1-parent, just their socioeconomic status. I think that the society I think we all look around, right? We all look around, see what young people are dealing with, see what they're exposed to, the kind of mental health concerns, the things that are angsty, and every kid can benefit from a mentor, and not every kid has a mentor in their, in their kind of personal sphere that makes sense for them. So this could be a good opportunity for them to experience someone who, like I said, really is there to walk the path with them.
Right. And do you find that, there might be one child in the family that just, that they say, oh, I'd like to get a big, and then another child in the same family says, wow, I would love that type of experience too. And then you have multiple children possibly in the same family that would like to get a big brother or big sister?
Yes. Usually we have the young ones like chomping at the bit, right? It's so cute. And it's always, when do I get to sign up? When do I get my big? Because they see their older sibling going out and doing these things. And so they want to have that experience as well. So yes, we do have families, that have kids enrolled. And then we have families that don't have some kids enrolled, right? Just like you said, like there might be one child that could benefit more and they're most interested, and another kid is just not interested, or they're busy with, maybe they have sports and they're into sports and they get kind of that coaching, mentoring there, where another child doesn't have that kind of after school and extracurriculars that they're involved in. So this is a better fit for them.
Absolutely. And what happens in what you're saying is it's not one, size fits everybody. It's taking whoever's interested, and if they're not, and working with them and trying to do the best to match. And it's just a shame that having 200 on a wait list, that's a lot, but hopefully maybe people through this show and other shows will maybe consider, being able to play that role and to do that. Is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you've come across that maybe people had a misconception about when doing that, being a big or getting a big for their child? Or
I mean, I think it is that space of, and I touched on it earlier, that like savior piece, or that like,
okay.
I've got all this weight on my shoulders if I was to do this. Really, you're there to be a friend. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be some hard conversations potentially. Kids are people and things come up in life, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to be roses and perfect, but really the experience is what I hear time and time again. And I know from being a big, I've had several littles in our school-based program. The bigs get just as much out of it as the littles do, and sometimes more, they say. And I think that it is a relationship. So it's a two-way street. We don't go into this like, you're the big, you're going to teach this little all the things they need to know to, graduate from high school with a plan for their future. They're going to teach you things. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn their life and their cultures and their traditions and, just their family and their experiences, as much as they're going to learn from you. So it's really about people just being open to learning from one another and supporting each other like friends do.
And I think, and I'm really glad that you just kind of said that. It's, being a friend, that don't put the weight on your shoulder, that you're there to save them and down the right path. You're kind of there just to be a friend, a sounding board, someone who maybe they can feel comfortable to talk to that maybe they can't with their family. So I think that's amazing. And like you said, the little gets so much out of it, and so do the bigs, because I know we all want to help. We all want to help someone else. We all want to put our hand out to help someone, along the path. Like you said, with the footprints, it could be different sets of footprints as you go along. If someone's watching, they're saying, I would love to do it. I just can't be a big for whatever reason. Are there other ways that they can help Big Brother, Big Sisters? I know that you do fundraisers, and, is there any kind of donations besides financial donations that Big Brother, Big Sisters might need or want?
Sure. Well, like I said earlier, when I said we try to do those experiences and opportunities and free and low cost things. So a lot of times those come from companies, right? So maybe you work somewhere that has a community engagement or, some kind of platform or group that reaches out and does activities in the community. Pick Big Brothers, Big Sisters as your charity of choice. We have companies that have done, like I said, field trips where we've gone to construction sites and they've taught the kids and the bigs what all goes on here, right? As we're building this building. We've had companies come in and do coding activities with the kids. We've had, folks do drives during our adoptive family and holiday season. There are so many ways that you can be involved. Yes, donate. We are a donor supported volunteer organization. So we always need cash donations to support the work that we do. But if you don't have the ability to be a big, you could support other people being bigs in different ways. And so one of the things that we're encouraging folks right now is come join us on January 28th at our mentor rally. And we're going to talk about a lot of this. We're going to talk about the impact of mentoring, but we're also going to talk about how to get your company, your business, or your social or community organization involved in some of these other ways of how you can impact the kids that we work with. And that is at the Durfee Innovation Center in Detroit. The information is on our website, but we're holding that just to not only recruit bigs and talk about what it really is. We're going to have actual bigs talking about bigs, ambassador board members, and some of our other, supporters talking about what it is to be involved in the program so that folks can see a little bit more about what their fit might be.
Right. And I think that's, like you said, that's a great opportunity to learn more. And as you mentioned, you yourself have been a big, and I think sometimes it's nice just to be able to maybe pull someone aside and say, okay, you're a big, what about this? What about, just to kind of interact with someone who's actually has done it and can say, hey, these were my thoughts when I first started, and this is how I feel now. So, I mean, I think that's an amazing way to kind of do that. And again, having the partnerships with the companies is also, because so many companies want to help the young people. That's our future, going forward. As we kind of close out the show here, Jennifer, what would you say, what might be some final words of wisdom that you would like to tell the audience about Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southeast Michigan?
Oh gosh, there's so much. I would say the thing that I just ask folks to think about this month, especially as it's National Mentoring Month, is who are your mentors, right? Who was your mentor? Who were your mentors? What did they do? How did they support you? How did they encourage you? How did they make you feel? Why were they important to you? Now imagine being a young person that doesn't have that. You can step into those roles, right? Very, very easily. My guess would be. So, just show up for kids in the way that you needed folks to show up for you.
And I think those words are extremely impactful. And as you were saying that, I'm thinking back even in my own life, and again, thinking if I didn't have that or have a family environment that did that kind of support. So I think that's a really good way for someone to think about it, to help them kind of level set if it's something that they can do and spend their time helping out. Jennifer, thank you so much for what you're doing. Your passion, you can just see the passion. You're just, the Big Brother, Big Sisters is very lucky to have you as the president and the CEO and everything you're doing. And as you've said, you've been a big sister there many, many times. So thank you so much for what you do. And I thank our audience for watching us. And again, Jennifer said there's over 200 people or young children, young adults and teenagers needing help. So please consider that. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm Cindy Kainz.